Veronica. Can everybody hear me?
We lost him.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Paul.
Anyone
Okay.
see?
Yes, I can hear you.
Thank you.
Lesotho can hear you.
Yes, we are.
I
Okay.
can hear you too.
Excellent.
We can
So-
hear you.
Good, good. So,
We
Demela,
hear you.
Bome le montate. I
Dumelanda,
hope everybody's well. Right,
Dumelanda.
so good
Dumelanda.
to have everybody here and to hear all your wonderful voices. Thank you so much for joining us. As I say, welcome to our supporters event. So over the next hour, we hope to share with you some of the things that Veronica and her teams in Lesotho and in Wales have been doing over the last year, working under, as everybody else has, difficult circumstances, but actually achieving a tremendous amount. Of course, since we last met, we have had the sad situation of losing our honorary president, Karl Klaus, who I know has been a friend to so many of us over the last few years, over many years for many of us, and of course was one of the founding members of this organization and who has led it and given direction to it over the years. And I know she has many friends in Lesotho and many friends in Wales for a whole variety of reasons, not just to the link between Lesotho and Wales, but has done a tremendous amount. I'm going to ask Gareth to say a few words in a moment. I first met Karl, must be now 10 years ago, and he introduced me to Dolen, Cymru. And I was, my first visit was with Karl. And it's the first time I've ever been treated as a VIP. But I remember arriving at Mshweshwe Airport and moving with everybody else when he very quietly had a word with one of the officials and says, I am the honorary consul. And immediately we were moved into a special room and brought a cup of tea. And I was able to see the huge amount of respect people in Lesotho had for him, and the many friends that he had in Lesotho, and of course the many friends in Wales. And he's remained a friend to me and has given me guidance when I was chair of the health group, and now when I've been chair of trustees. His vast knowledge of Lesotho and Wales and the work of the Dolen, and also very reassuring to me because I am ashamedly English, and I'm not a national Welsh speaker, and I have felt at some point, occasion a bit of fraud being in this position, but he has always been very supportive of me as chair, and said, no, as long as you're aware of what we're trying to do in the background, that's absolutely fine. And that's been very reassuring, and I'm very grateful to him. And he's remained a friend, and I know I'm going to continue to miss him enormously in the work that I do with Lesotho. So that's my personal recollection. But I was going to ask Gareth if he could say just a few words about Karl's association with Dolen Cymru Lesotho. Gareth.
Diolch, Paul. Dwi'n meddwl, nos o dda i chi gyd a gai ran ymddidorwyr Dolen Cymru Lesotho Estyn croeso cynnes i chi yn dathliad blynyddol. A mae hyn o'n gyfle edrych yn ôl ar y flwyddyn a'i heibio ac i rannu diweddariad gyda chi. Ac i'n dechrau, mae'n ddyletswydd arno ni i gofio am y cefnogwyr hynny sydd wedi'n gadael ni dros y flwyddyn diwetha, gan ddiolch iddynt am eu cefnogaeth a'i cyfraniad un gwaith. A hoffwn dynnu sylw arbennig at y diweddar Dr Karl Klaus, sef cadeirydd cychwynnol a llywydd oes Dolen Cymru. Roedd gan Karl ddiddordeb arbennig yn y gwledydd lleiaf datblygiedig, ac mewn erthygl yn y faner, fe alwodd am ragor o gysylltiadau â gwledydd llai datblygiedig mwyn gwella'r dealltwriaeth o'r trydydd byd. Ac o'r erthygl honno, daeth brwdfrydedd a cafodd cysylltiadau ei magu rhwng Cymru a Lesotho cyn ffurfio partneriaeth swyddogol yn 1985. Ac fe aeth Dr Carl Claus yn gadeirydd ar y Dolen Cymru o ganlyniad cyn i gael ei benodi'n gonswl yn y deddus Lesotho yng Nghymru. A felly mae'n dyled ni'n fawr iawn i'r weledigaeth hynny ac i'r bobl hynny nath cael o gwmpas mwyn sefydlu Dolen Cymru. Roedd Carl yn ddyn prysur iawn ac yn ychwanegol roedd yn sylfaenydd ymdderdolaeth Nant Gwrtheyrn, cadeirydd cychwynnol Antur Ail Haearn, y gydweithfa gymunedol gyntaf yn y Deyrnas Unedig yn 1974. Oedd yn gadeirydd ar y Fforwm Iaith Genedlaethol a lliwiodd y strategaeth iaith gynhwysfawr gyntaf ran y Gymraeg a arweiniodd at Deddf Iaith 1993. Yn 2015 cafodd e'n rydeddu gan Goleg Brenhinol y Meddygon Teulu gyda chymrydoraeth yn rydeddus gan gydnabod i gyfraniad aruthrol i iechyd yng Nghymru a thramor, a fe oedd y meddyg teulu cyntaf i dderbyn yn rhydedd o'r fath. Ac ymhlith y teyrnged-lu a dalwyd iddo, dywedodd y diweddar Comisiynydd y Gymraeg Aled Roberts y bydd Carl Claus yn cael ei gofio fel un o arloeswyr mwyaf Gymraeg dros y 40 mlynedd diwetha. Dyn a gweledigaeth uchelgeisiol, dyn a synwyr busnes a synwyr sefydliadol anghyffredin i droi'r weledigaeth yn reality. A mae hwnna nid yn unig yn wir o ran y Gymraeg, ond o ran Nant Gwrtheyrn ac hefyd o ran Dolen Cymru Lesotho. Bu Carl yn gefnogol iawn i fi yn bersonol pan o'n i'n gadeirydd ac oedd e'n barod iawn i gymwynas a'i gyngor a'i farn a nifer o gweddau o waith Dolen, ac yn arbennig y ffocws ar bartneriaeth dwy ffordd yn seiliedig ar gyfeillgarwch. Byddwn ni'n gweld eisiau'n fawr iawn. Dumela, good evening, and can I, on behalf of the trustees, also welcome you to this annual celebration event, which is an opportunity to look back on the year and our achievements. Before starting, I believe we have a duty to remember those supporters who we've lost during the last year and to thank them for their support and contribution to our work. I would particularly like to draw attention to the late Dr. Carl Claus, who was the initial chairman and life president of Dolen Cymru, Lesotho. Now, Carl was particularly interested in the least developed countries of the world, and in an article in Afaner, a Welsh magazine, he called for more links with less developed countries in order to improve the understanding of the third world. And from that article, there was great enthusiasm, and links were made between Wales and Lesotho before forming an official partnership in 1985. And Dr. Carl Claus chaired Dolen Cymru as a result, before being appointed Honorary Consul of Lesotho in Wales. But Carl was influential in many other areas as well. He was the founder of Nant Gwrtheyrn Trust, which is a village in North Wales where you can go to learn Welsh and develop your Welsh skills. He was the initial chairman of Antur Ail Haearn, the first community cooperative in the UK in 1974. He was chair of the National Language Forum, and he led the development of the first comprehensive language strategy in relation to the Welsh language, which led to the Welsh Language Act 1993. In 2015, he was honoured by the Royal College of General Practitioners with an honorary fellowship, recognising his tremendous contribution to health in Wales and abroad, the first GP to receive such an honour. Amongst the numerous tributes paid to him on his death, one was by the late Welsh Language Commissioner Aled Roberts. There's another great loss. And he said that Dr. Carl Claus will be remembered as one of the greatest pioneers of the Welsh language over the last 40 years. A man with an ambitious vision, an extraordinary business and organisational sense to turn the vision into a reality. And that's just as true really for Dolen Cymru Lesotho. It took that idea, that vision, and turned it into reality. Carl was very supportive of me when I was chair, and always very willing to give his views and advice on a number of aspects of Dolen's work. And in particular, reinforcing that message that our partnership is focused on a two-way relationship based on friendship. We will miss him very much, and we wish Dorothy and his family all the best, and our kind of condolences on his passing. Diolch.
Diolch, Gareth. Thank you very much. And I'm sure those of us who had the privilege of knowing and working with Carl will definitely identify with your words and agree with that. And so I hope that we can remember, Carl, as we look at the wonderful things that the organisation has been doing over the last year. So I'm going to hand back to Veronica now, who's going to show us some of the work that's been going on. And hopefully there'll be a little time at the end for supporters to make any comments they want to about what we've done or what they think we might like to consider in the future. This is your event. Veronica.
Hi, everybody. So it's going to be a whistle-stop tour through this. We have done an amazing amount of work. We're probably going to cover about 18 months, actually, because of the lack of having many of these events. And so just to remind everyone, this is what we're about, having connected and thriving communities in Wales and Lesotho, and to facilitate sustainable projects, partnerships and relationships, having a positive impact on communities both in Lesotho and in Wales. And we think we've made a fair crack at that this year. So first of all, we're going to look at our COVID response work, because obviously it's been such a huge thing for everybody. And there were a few grants that came up that meant we could do specific work on that. And there are two projects here to start with. The one was the Tabasaka Sewing Club, funded by the British High Commission in Lesotho, which, as you can see, they're sewing. We provided sewing machines, they made masks, and they distributed them to the community. And they also trained young people on how to use the sewing machines to give them a skill, which they didn't have before. And that was a very small project, but it had a big impact. The Supporting Family Medicine Doctors in Lesotho was a project in partnership really with Betsy Kuting partnership, at least with Betsy Cadwallader Health Board. And these doctors there, they are training from all over Lesotho, and they go up to Leribe and do different modules. And while they were there, they were given support from psychologists from Betsy Cadwallader for their well-being during the COVID crisis, because at that point they didn't have PPE, they didn't know what was happening, everybody was getting in a bit of a state. And so they were given different strategies for being able to deal with the stress and how they could cope with it. And the other side of the project was to actually provide PPE for not just them personally, but for their hospital settings, because they would go back to the clinics after they'd been in Leribe, and then the PPE was sent to them. And there's a bit more about PPE later on. So that project was funded by Wales and Africa. This is the psychological support Padlet. So we use Padlet a lot. You'll see that it started off with the education and Sharon and the education team, and it's spilled over into health. And so anyone who wants to see this, we'll send all the links to all these things to you afterwards. And there's lots of really helpful things there, I think, for people from all walks of life. And Kate Shakespeare, who you can see here on the right, I'm just going to start you off with a little bit. You can go onto there and you can listen to all her strategies, but this is just the start of one of her little exercises that she was doing with those doctors.
I thought this video might provide some relief or a chance to pause or to feel cared for if you're feeling overwhelmed, panicky, exhausted, or if team members of yours are feeling this way, you're welcome to share this video. So this is a really basic grounding exercise, and it uses our 5 fingers. And we can use our hand to remind us, to help us to stay grounded in the moment when we're feeling overwhelmed. And each finger relates to one of our 5 senses. So when I'm feeling overwhelmed or exhausted or frightened, I can notice in this moment one thing that I can hear. Notice one thing that I can see. Notice one thing that I can smell. Notice one thing that I can touch. And notice one thing that I can taste. Now, to make this feel easy.
Okay, I won't go on any further after that, but you get the idea. It's not that much longer, actually. So please do have a look at that. And our last specifically COVID project was a catch-up and wellbeing project for learners, which Sharon is going to introduce and tell you about now.
Evening, everybody. I'm so happy to see so many familiar names popping in. Lots of people we haven't seen for a long time. For those of you who might not know me, I'm Sharon, the Education Officer. Now, I made a summary video about this project, which sums it up way better than me because it is vast and it exceeded our expectations. But during the initial stages of lockdown, we had lots of consultation with our teachers in Lesotho, and wellbeing and mental health support was something that was required. So we applied for money to the WCVA and got a small grant to do some wellbeing support for teachers, which then is in line for the children being supported when their schools opened back up. So I'll just show you this video and then I'll introduce you to a new member of staff that's been working on this project with us.
Ne a rata ho bona metswalle ya hae empa ho ne ho sa bolokeha ho etsa jwalo. Sera o ne a lakatsa kopana ya hloko ya corona e emise ho tshosa lefatshe.
I want to go to school. I miss my friends and my teachers. I miss every corner of my school. Oh, yes. Heroes have superpowers. Sarah, what do you want me to do? I want to be a hero. Ditaba tsa bahale hore na ba hlola jwang. Atlanta ba kona hloka coronavirus e kotsi haholo. Ke kokwanahloko e nyane haholo bile tshwaetsana. Wash your hands and keep the distance. Be a hero of today. Going to play a game. Now we are going to play a game. Are you ready for the game? Yes. Are you ready for the game? Yes.
Since we had to embark on the research so that we learn exactly how can we look around the children, how can we disseminate information to the children, because we are not teachers, not professionals, we are just content creators.
So you can see we've embraced technology and dragged everybody kicking and screaming, and it's worked. It was an incredible project, and we have just been successful for more funding to run another element of this now on well-being and mental health support to build resilience in young people. So we're extremely excited. My partner in crime is Mate Amelia, who has been so valuable to this project right from the beginning. Because network's a bit unstable, I've got a little audio clip to play off my WhatsApp. Hopefully that will work. And if there's any questions, if the network is okay, she can answer anything. I'll just see if this will work through my system.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Amelia Mutiti. I work as an education project officer at Dolen, Cymru, Lesotho link. I translated My Hero Is You, How Kids Can Fight COVID-19 from English to Sesotho, and we commissioned Vision Street, a media company in Lesotho, for the production of audiobook and writing of scripts for radio shows. The storybook is developed by Interagency Standing Committee for and by children around the world. There is a second edition of the book and is now called My Hero Is You 2021, How Kids Can Cope with COVID-19, which I've already translated from English to Sesotho. And the audio version of the book is underway. Thank you very much for your time, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening.
Thank you, May. We know we've got lots of work ahead of us, and the collaboration has been fantastic. So part of what we've mentioned is working with Vision Street, and they produced a short promotional film for the radio shows, which we want to share with you because it's just beautiful.
Ke le karolo ya radio show ya diketso tsa bahale. Ke tlo bua ka ntho tse ke ithutileng mono le hore na re ka itlhokomela jwang kgahlano le kokwanahloko ya corona.
Buka ya mohale wa ka ke wena ke buka e thusang hore na re ka itshireletsa jwang mabapi le kokwanahloko ya coronavirus le ditaba tsa bahale hore na ba hlola jwang.
I've learned that kokwanahloko ya coronavirus e kotsi haholo. Ke kokwanahloko e nyane haholo bile tshwaetsana.
Kokwanahloko ena e kotsi ha qeta ho ithutile hore re ka fokotsa tshwaetso ya teng ka hore re hlape matsoho. Re ka itshireletsa ka ho hlapa matsoho kgafetsa le ho dula ka matlong.
Nka ba fa keletso ya hore ha ba tsamaya ba rwale semongkwana le se ke la tshwarana ka matsoho.
Hape re siele sebaka pakeng tsa motho o ntse o bua le yena.
Ke ithutile ho hlokomela batho ba tshwereng ke kokwanahloko ya corona. Ho ba hlokomela nka o etsetsa ntho e ba utlwang hore o bohlokwa ho nna ko hore ha ke a mo lahla. E ba mohale wa ka,
e be mohale wa hao.
Mmoho re ka hlola kokwanahloko ya corona.
Oops, sorry. Whoops. Ah! The videos always get me. That we love that film. We've seen it so many times, but we just can't see it enough times, you know. Sharon, have you finished with your bit now?
Yeah, I'll just quickly say obviously there's a bit of juddering with the sound and the video because they're quite big, and we've got so many people on the call, which is amazing, but that does cause things to slow down. But everything is on our YouTube channel, so please go there and subscribe and like, so we can see that there's some tracking of what people are watching. Thank you.
So we also had, obviously, other work that was already underway when the pandemic started. And so a lot of that work had to be adapted, and pretty rapidly as well. So we already had, which we talked about before, a WASH project, which was funded by what was then DFID, now FCDO. And it started off in October 2019, went through, so it wasn't very long before we were in COVID times, as they say. So what started off as a project with schools and learners learning about why hand washing is important and putting tippy taps in schools very quickly turned into a community-based project, working in partnership with the Red Cross, going out to communities to show that, to build tippy taps and long ones, big sturdy ones like the ones you can see there, and also just ones made out of sticks and a plastic container, and showing people how they can do that, but at the same time not just showing them how to do it, but why it was important. And the Red Cross took a lot of the brunt of that work then, going out into those communities. And then that finished in March 21, and so it was still going on last year. So that was a very successful project, and I think people are still using that equipment now. Mandy, you're going to talk about the rugby.
I am. Dumalan, everyone. It's nice to see you all. My name is Mandy, for those who don't know me. I'm one of the Dolen team here in Wales, and I'm going to tell you a bit about the Lesotho Rugby Academy. For those who are not familiar with it, the Academy tackles social problems by means of a 10-week rugby programme delivered to boys and girls in schools across different districts in Lesotho, and we do it through fun, teamwork and the discipline of rugby. And children are taught all important life skills, including gender equality, nutrition and how to protect themselves from HIV and AIDS alongside their rugby skills. It's really important that we get the message to these young people that a good and healthy lifestyle is a lifestyle choice for life, and so early messages are key here. So it started in 2014 by Dan Aylward, who was there in Lesotho at the time, and recently we were able to get FCDO funding for a 2-year upscale project. We're supposed to start back in just before the pandemic started, so it's been a difficult start, and things were very slow due to restrictions and lockdown on our start, but we did get going. We put in a COVID response plan, drew up some risk assessments and put in strict measures to demonstrate that we could mitigate risks when the schools were opened. We formed a new alliance with the Red Cross in Cymru to enhance our good practice. And through the partnership with them, we were able to reinforce messages of COVID safety and promote hand hygiene and wash messaging, and introduce tippy taps to perhaps some of the schools who didn't have it, to make that wash messaging a reality. And since that delayed start to the programme, I'm proud to say that the LRA team have worked with over 4,000 learners in over 70 schools across 6 districts, and we've still got 6 months to go. We're not quite at the end of the project yet, so we've done really well from a delayed 6-month start, exceeded all the milestones that were predicted. But I've got to say also that this has only been made possible by the hard work of the in-country director, Mr. Motsamaredi, and his team of coaches, and their willingness to adapt to the challenges faced during this past 18 months. So we're going to hear a couple of words on the video now from Mr. Maredi. Hopefully he's here in person as well, but let's hear him on the video.
Good day, colleagues, partners, supporters, and our sponsors. My name is Ditizo Mutseremedi. I am the country director of Lesotho Rugby Academy. I'm so excited today sharing our success stories with you since the establishment of the Lesotho Rugby Academy. I'm so excited that ever since Lesotho Rugby Academy has been established, we have had a lot of good stories of the kids who were told that they are not fit for football, they are not fit for netball, because in Lesotho, the problem that we have, or the problem that we are facing as the nation at schools, is that we only have two sports field, which is for football pitch and the netball pitch. And if a kid is not a talented one in one of those sporting courses that I've mentioned earlier, they've been told, or they've been kicked out of the sport, and they've been told that they are not ready, or they don't have a talent for such sporting codes. So those kids, they become school sponsors, and then they become so frustrated that they don't have a motive to go to schools because of the negative words they've been told by their schoolmates, by the coaches, by those people who have been into sports for some time. But since the establishment of Lesotho Rugby Academy, the stories that I would like to share with you today is to tell you that we've been so successful. Those kids who have been taught such worrying words, such negative words, they are now motivated to go to schools because there's something pushing them to go to schools. Things such as playing rugby, sharing success stories with us as coaches, sharing their life stories with us as coaches. And today, I can tell you that we have about 6 to 8 boys who have been started playing rugby from their primary schools. And today, they are now in the national team because of the support they've been getting from our coaches. These kids, they started playing rugby since 2014 when the Lesotho Rugby Academy was established, but they have managed to achieve a lot. And also we have got about 4 to 5 girls who have been selected in the national team as well. For the first time ever, Lesotho women's national team has been represented in the Rugby Africa International Tournament. And many kids there, they are the ones who are from the Lesotho Rugby Academy side of rugby, part of it. Those are few success stories that I wanted to share with you, that your money and your support that we've been sending to us, it has been helping us a lot, and we've been working very hard with the kids to achieve what we have achieved. Again, there's an improvement in the schools. Those who are now attending our lessons in the Lesotho Rugby Academy, such as healthy diets, HIV and AIDS awareness, gender equality, and so on and so on. Those kids now, we've been told that their concentration in schools has improved. And this is because of the life skills that they've been learning from our coaches. This is really helping. We are bringing positive change into our kids' life. We are so grateful for the assistance that we've been receiving. And we are doing everything in our power to make sure that all those kids that have been attending the Lesotho Rugby Academy life skills and also the sessions, we've been keeping the database so much that we are able to monitor them wherever they are. Thank you very much for your support, and we are counting on you to make sure that more kids are on board and they are succeeding.
Thank you, Diditso. And before we leave this section, there's something everybody should know about the wonderful Diditso. So in December last year, he was presented with the Commonwealth Points of Light Award by Anne Macro, the British High Commissioner in Lesotho. And this award recognises outstanding individuals who are making a change in their community, and we know he does. It's recognised by Her Majesty the Queen and awarded through number 10 Downing Street. Mr. Motsomanedi is making a huge difference in the development of sport in Lesotho, not just through the Lesotho Rugby Academy, but by steering many other initiatives to make sport more accessible to the young people in that country. So please join me in congratulating him for his receipt of the Commonwealth Points of Light and celebrate the inspirational work he does. Can we give him a clap? Thank you. I hope he's here. Thank you. Oh, Walk the Global Walk. So, Walk the Global Walk, a big 3-year EU-funded project that finished last June. The project gave a framework for schools, local authorities and NGOs in 11 European countries, including Wales, to mobilise young people behind the UN Sustainable Development Goals. Specifically, we looked at SDG 11, Sustainable Communities and Cities, SDG 13, Climate Action, and SDG 16, which was Peace, Justice and Strong Institutions. And schools across Carmarthenshire worked with schools in Europe and with our partner schools in Lesotho to achieve, well, the unachievable really with this project. It really was fantastic. So let's hear from some of the participants in this video.
It's just a little introduction now. You can be able to see the whole of this video on the link that we'll send you later, because it's quite a long video.
Global citizenship and the Sustainable Development Goals. Two phrases being used more and more frequently in classrooms within Carmarthenshire. But what do these actually mean? And why should they matter to us? Well, pupils in the 18 schools that took part in Walk the Global Walk have been learning about issues that affect us all, namely sustainable communities, climate action, and the importance of peace and equality around the world. Through a strong partnership with Dolen, Cymru, Lesotho, young people have been learning and reaching out, making connections and collaborating with other local authorities and schools across the globe. So, let's find out a little more about what Walk the Global Walk has accomplished. Making our school children engage in issues relating to global citizenship and sustainable development, whilst promoting a culture of peace, respect for human rights, and co-responsibility on a global scale.
Walk the Global Walk is an international project funded by the EU Commission. It involves 12 different nations working together, so local authority and a charity in each one. And we're working together to promote sustainable development and social justice. The main aim of the project is to bring young people together in support of the Sustainable Development Goals.
At the heart of the project are the global goalkeepers. These are young people in our schools, acting as project ambassadors and leading activities to share important messages with their peers. There are over 100 of them.
So it's quite a long film. So we will send you the link so that you can see all of it, because it is really very, very good. And so here's just a summary now.
I just want to say one last thing about one of the final events. So part of it was called Walk the Global Walk because what was built into it initially before things had to change was that there would be a big celebratory event where people would walk together. But obviously we couldn't do that for 2 out of the 3 times because of the situation. So in June we had our final event, but unable to walk together for the final celebratory event, primary schools across Carmarthenshire participated in a virtual walk from Llanelli to Lesotho, inspired by our wonderful Polly Seaton. The school communities signed up to physically walk and count their steps. I'm not sure they knew what they were signing up for at the time, but she's very persuasive, our Polly. And they completed a 6,500 mile journey from Llanelli to Lesotho, stopping off at virtual stops along the way in countries to greet friends and hear messages from people across the globe, and then received a warm welcome as they arrived in Lesotho from their partner schools in Lesotho that they've been working with. Some schools counted enough steps to make the virtual journey back to Llanelli, I think, but the event was a huge success and a fitting end to the project. It was all about being an active citizen in a global community.
Thanks, Mandy. So this next project is a very new project. It should have started soon after COVID erupted. But because it was all about doing lots of workshops, it just wasn't possible. So thankfully, this picture that you can see there is actually the first training session of this project. And I'm not going to talk about what it is because Advocate Joanna Jonas is going to explain it. You'll have to put up with me interviewing her and my slightly strange voice at times, but hopefully you'll learn a bit more about it. Now, this is a bit of a longer video than we'd normally use, but she was just so interesting that I didn't want to, I didn't want to cut too much.
Hi, John. It's really nice to see you. And I wonder if you could tell people who are attending our celebration a little bit about your company, about Nairasha, and what you do.
Hi, and thanks for having me. My name is Advocate Joanna Jonas. I'm a co-founder and director of Nairasha Legal Support. Nairasha is a Swahili word that means a new thing. So this firm is a legal social enterprise that is aimed mainly to make access to justice for women and girls. We do this, it's called a new thing because most law firms, like profit-making firms, but this one is a non-profit company, and its aim is to assist the victims and survivors of gender-based violence with access to justice. It's also aimed at empowering women empowerment by making legal services accessible to women, especially women entrepreneurs. We also hold legal education sessions for women, just so that they have a bit of basic knowledge of law for day-to-day life, for their day-to-day lives.
That's brilliant. That's lovely. Thanks very much. Now we've come together from Dolen, Cymru, Lesotho, and with you to work on this special project. And I wonder if you could just explain what the goal of this project is.
The main goal of this project, the biggest goal, in the long term, is to have more women reporting cases of gender-based violence. This we are doing by strengthening the law enforcement capacity into how they respond to GBV cases, because one of the main barriers to efficient reporting of GBV cases is the fact that victims usually don't like the way they were treated or the way their cases are being handled. So we thought that if we can have a gender-centric policing system, maybe it would be easier for women to report these cases more, and it would make their experiences in reporting better. So that is the main goal, and that is the main objective of the project.
Mm-hmm. And I noticed that you also think it's really important for the community leaders, the chiefs in the local communities, to be involved with this. Perhaps you can explain to our audience here why that is.
Okay, so how it happens here in Lesotho is that law enforcement starts at the grassroots, being with community leaders. So usually when these cases happen, when anything happens in their communities, they are firstly reported at the chiefs, at their community leaders. And since some of some of these cases, when they happen, the members of the community would call community leaders and the community police. Community police are sort of extended hands to the community leaders. They assist the community leaders, the chiefs, with administration, like with a bit of investigations, although it's all informal and it's all not as professional as with your regular police. Usually these cases, they try to resolve amongst themselves, usually by having, especially when the crime has happened in a domestic setting. When it's a domestic violence case, they try and hold mediations. This is why we thought involving them would sort of enlighten them and make them aware of to what extent can they hold mediations, and what is GBV, and when is it a crime. Most of the time also they are the ones that report these cases to the police. They are the ones that take the victims, accompany the victims to the police. They are the ones that call the police over. So they work hand in hand with the police in crime prevention. So we thought that it would be prudent for them to also be capacitated, so that the role that they play, in the part that they play, they do it in a way that is harmonious with the service delivery that we are trying to get from the police.
No, that's interesting. Do you think that sometimes these community police try to sort of say, oh, it's all right, oh, he was drunk, or oh, it's not really a problem, or, you know, oh, you don't really need to complain, you don't really need to report this to the police because, you know, you don't want to make a fuss, you know, he's your husband, you don't want to upset him.
According to our culture, in terms of Lesotho culture, when problems happen within the family, problems in this instance being cases of domestic violence, because that's exactly how lightly they are taken. It's taken as a problem. Lesotho usually try to resolve these issues between themselves, amongst themselves, especially when the crime has happened between people that know each other, or people that are familiar with each other, or people that are related. So usually they will try and solve the problem between themselves, but this would usually involve either the chief or the community police, who would be working or who would be sitting as mediators. So usually, yes, the community through their leaders and through their community police try and mediate GBV cases. And it's true that cases of gender-based violence are taken very lightly, especially where they happen in a domestic setting. It's always the issue of, oh my God, yes, you guys are related. The family bond is far more important than what has happened. You can always forgive him. I'm sure he won't do it again. Or he was just angry. What did you do to provoke him? So it's like such issues. And this is centered around the fact that domestic violence is regarded like it's normalized. It's regarded when a man beats a woman, it's taken as that man is disciplining the woman as if the woman is a child or something. If we have leaders who think differently, leaders who understand that gender-based violence is a crime, leaders who understand that is a crime, then it would be easy for us to work towards eradication of GBV, most especially domestic violence.
That's lovely, thank you. Now, you did some research, a lot of research actually, in 4 different districts. And then you decided that the district that you would start to do this work in is Mafeteng. I wonder if you could just say a few words. Yes. Of why you chose Mafeteng.
Firstly, from the interviews, because we conducted interviews with police officers in all the 4 districts, police officers in the Department of CGP, Children and Gender Protection Unit, who are the ones that deal with these cases of GBV. So we saw a need more, especially in Mafeking, because there was a higher number of reported GBV cases, and the attitude, or not the attitude actually, but from the interviews we picked up that the police officers in Mafeking were less knowledgeable on issues of GBV, or they are a bit more traditional than the others in the other 3 districts. So we thought that we will start in Mafeking to ensure that this project is more impactful in Mafeking, where it's most needed. I think that the other reason is that we didn't know how far we were going to go with the project. So we thought if we were to do 1 district, let's make it Mafeking.
Okay.
And there are higher cases of GBV, very high than other districts.
Do you think, I read an article when they were talking about sort of gangs in Mafeking, and that there's
there are gangs.
Big problem with that, and do you think the gang culture leads to a higher incidence of gender-based violence?
They do, because for instance, when they are fighting during their beef or whatever, it's usually women and children that are victims of their violence, because they would go to each other's homes and vandalize the property and beat up women and children. So yes, women are made victims of GBV. The occurrences of gender-based violence cases in Mafeking, most of them are directly linked to music gangs.
Yeah, that's really interesting, and it's something I think people here don't understand and don't have that much knowledge of. Just a quick one now. When are you hoping to start the training?
We are actually starting tomorrow on the 1st of March.
So, sorry for the abrupt ending there. That was Joanna, and we're really looking forward to seeing the results of the work they're doing. Obviously, changing attitudes is not going to be something that happens overnight, but her and her team are really keen to make a start. So we're glad that the Welsh Government particularly wanted to do some women's projects here in Lesotho and Uganda. And so this was the project that we chose to do because it came from conversations that we had with people in Lesotho. And I'm not going to play it again. For some reason it thinks it is.
Hi, John.
No, there we are. Sorry about that. And as you can see, sometimes the online bit works, sometimes it doesn't work quite so well. We had trouble with the internet connection during that interview. And now Sharon is going to talk a bit more now about what happened to the Lesotho Teacher Placement Programme, LTPP, which has changed amazingly, and particularly during lockdown, and so that some of you who I know have been on that programme, who are here with us tonight, might not even recognise it. And so off you go, Sharon.
Thank you. So those of you that don't know much about this programme, traditionally our main education work was to send teachers to Lesotho for a prolonged period of time for their placement to work in schools and work alongside teachers, mentoring and training. And then we started bringing teachers back to Wales, which is called the WTPP. So from 2015, we've had placements here in Wales with the same model. And what that has established is a time of inactivity, and we haven't had online mentoring or anything like that. It was very much about the face-to-face work. So 2020 started like that, and we sent our maths volunteers back over to Lesotho to build on the work that they've been doing in Tabasaka. We were supporting the Connecting Classrooms project and facilitating the reciprocal visits for teachers that went over, usually for 1 week. But in this instance, we extended that visit for some of the teachers, and head teachers actually, that went to Tabasaka. And then they all worked together with the teachers from Lesotho that had been in their schools during the year before that. And they did this amazing conference about quality education. And as you can see in the photo, we had learners there, and it provided a model classroom. So lots of attendees could observe how to lead learner-centered teaching and how to promote the voice of the child. So it was all amazing and wonderful. And then Sean and Anne got a very abrupt phone call saying you need to come home. So what did we do then? Like I said earlier, we embraced technology, and it was a slow start. You know, we had to experiment with different things. We worked with the British Council of South Africa using Microsoft Teams, delivering online workshops for teachers in the CCGL programme. Maths mentoring happened via WhatsApp and Facebook. We've got a Facebook Maths Club. And then we started working with teachers online that were getting ready for opening up so that they could start catch-up clubs for learners when they got back to their school. If you do the next slide, please. We also then really came into our own moving online, just like this format. We've had 2 very well attended, extremely busy scheduled education conferences via Zoom. And I just love that picture. Everyone looks so happy. And they've been amazing. And as I said earlier, they're on YouTube. So if you want to know more in-depth information about what's happened over the last 2 years, please have a look at those. But one of the main success stories has been our work with the Lesotho College of Education. And I say we, this is the royal we, Sean and Anne, our maths volunteers, have worked with this lovely lady, Relebahile, who is a student teacher. And they met her in Tabasaka and worked very closely with her. Her passion and drive is second to none. So throughout lockdown, she was running clubs, she was in communication with Sean, she's been in communication with me, she's written blogs for us. And then most recently, before Christmas, we had a pilot with the college and the maths lecturers, the high school teachers and the year 3 students, where Sean was running sessions each week, looking at active ways of teaching catch-up learning for maths. So really being able to help the first years of high school catch up on what they've missed. So Relebahile has graduated now, and she, with donation from Sean and funding from us, has been able to buy herself a gazebo so she can run her clubs. And she is doing so much work in her locality. It's amazing. So we'll just play a little audio from her, please.
Hello, everyone. I am Relebahile Mapati. I took part in online maths program for catch-up learning 2021 with Mr. Sean as part of my course. I learned the use of aids, visual strategies and approaches to students, and building confidence to them. I also learned different ways of thinking, how to tackle some topics which students find difficult on maths curriculum. This does not end here. I was awarded with a certificate of participant with exceptional status. I also took part in Dolen Education Conference 2021. After the workshops, I continued using the learned strategies in the club and managed to open Youth Maths Lab, attended on Saturdays, and private classes for students who are being challenged by math, and also for those who did not perform very well on their studies. I have finished my course this month and waiting for my diploma certificate. I am really honored to have been part of the workshops, and all thanks to Mr. Sean, who has sponsored me with the tent and table. They are very useful to me because I'm using them for youth, maths lab, and private classes activities. There is no rent to be paid for the club and classes because of the tent. Thank you.
I think before we move on, we should also give a little bit of a round of applause to Rela Bahile, because I think she will be a change maker, just like Disetso. She is passionate, and as many of you know, maths is so tricky for so many learners, and without extra tuition, it's really difficult to pass. So she's paving a way and a very good model of ways in which to use your skills if you're not gaining teaching employment as well. So well done, Rela Bahile. So I can hear applause there. Mandy's going to talk a little bit about our other work with LCE, which again was groundbreaking in our use of online technology, and that was our mentoring and coaching program.
Yeah, the monitoring and coaching program was a pilot program, a collaborative project between Dolen, Cymru, the Lesotho College of Education in Tabasaka, and 4 fantastic Tabasaka schools who we were working with already. And the aim was to strengthen the paths for progress for the LCE teaching students in their placement schools, and those class teachers, those cooperating teachers, as they're called, who are responsible for their development. Hopefully we've got an audio by Kath Bleasdale, who was the engineer, I'm going to call you an engineer, Kath, of this programme, and she's going to give us a brief introduction to the structure of it.
Hello everyone, it's Catherine Bleasdale here, and I'm speaking today on behalf of Mandy and myself. We've been involved with a really exciting pilot study where the Lesotho College of Education and Dolen, Cymru have come together to present a mentoring and coaching programme. So this has been a pilot programme consisting of LCE tutors, 4 LCE tutors involved in teaching practice within the schools in Tabasaka. So the 4 schools that we've been working with have all sent their cooperating teachers to this activity. And as you can see there in the outline, we've had a series of 3 pre-recorded workshops for the cooperating teachers that have then led to 3 Zoom meetings where we've looked at the activities that were carried out as part of the workshops, and also to ask if there have been any impacts on the way in which the cooperating teachers have worked and engaged with their practicing teachers. And that's been a really useful activity, coming together to share practice. And we've been fortunate that the LCE tutors have also been part of that programme and have been able to contribute both within the Zoom meetings, but also now whilst they're out on their placement visits with the cooperating teachers and the practicing teachers directly in conversations.
Thank you, Kath. I'm sure, I think, Kath, you are here. The strong foundation for this and the success, I think, going forward is going to be down to our dream team of LCE lecturers, 4 key players who have been instrumental in taking our ideas really and developing them, and I think in the future we'll be driving the changes that we'll see in the future as positive changes. So this is May Saliani with a few reflections on the pilot.
Sorry, May. I'll get this. There we are. It's quite difficult to find the design.
Our personal reflections on the experience. What has been the impact? We have acquired skills for mentoring and coaching student teachers. Visiting schools will help improve working relationship with cooperating teachers as well as student teachers. The open conversation that the LCE tutors will have with cooperating teachers and student teachers will provide basis for improving teaching practice. Cooperating teachers will be motivated, comfortable, confident, and more effective in an outstanding job they already do with our student teachers. Challenges faced by both cooperating teachers and student teachers should be solved. Need for follow-up. The 4 tutors will make follow-up to see how cooperating teachers and the student teachers are doing after the visit. What will be that? The schools will be visited on the 15th to 19th November 2021. Thank you very much, LCE tutors.
Thank you very much, Ms. Saliani. So the pilot ran from August last year to November with just 4 schools, and feedback was very good. So hopefully it'll be rolled out to a larger number of schools now in Tabasaka after Easter, with the LCE taking the lead and Dolen Cymru supporting. So yeah, watch this space. Thank you.
Okay, so now we're moving on to Jolly Phonics and Jolly Futures, and Sharon.
So I've got 2 big things to talk about and not a lot of time because we are over time. So we do want to apologise on behalf of all of us here. But as you can see, there's so much to share and it's really hard to cut down. Just on follow up from what Mandy said, the work with LCE and the maths project will restart this year as well. And our literacy work also is connected, where we have got a team of trainers that will be working with the student teachers and introducing the Jolly Phonics literacy program to them. Now, just very quickly, what's come out of our online engagement is a partnership collaboration with Jolly Futures, which is the charitable arm of Jolly Phonics. And so we've been very lucky to be involved in their work and their resources, in their advice and mentoring, to be able to offer a better, more improved and more sustainable program than what we've done in the past. We've been involved with using that literacy program since 2013, as many of you know, but now we're doing it with vigor and rigor. It is amazing. So we've had online courses for over 50 teachers. We've had training on how to use the Jolly Monitor app to assess learners and to monitor progress on Jolly Phonics. We've run a 6-month pilot project in Tabasaka, which saw 100% improvement in learners' literacy skills in comparison with 6 schools that didn't have any Jolly Phonics. And we have been able to develop trainers. So we've got a team of 11 trainers now in different districts that have gone through the process and are now practicing, leading lots of workshops, and also benefiting our work in Kuting as well. So as many of you know, we've had teachers come to Wales as our first Wales teacher placement programme, who developed their own Lesotho phonics programme. And now we've been able to use this learning from Jolly Futures to make their programme better and more sustainable. So they've been doing a workshop today as well. So our literacy work is extremely successful. This year, I've just done a very short little video to show you because we're only at the beginning of March and already there's lots happening. So if you could go to the next slide, V.
Oh gosh. Sorry, I'm not very good at operating this desk. It's finding the arrow I have the trouble with.
I'm going to say 42 sounds from Jolly Phonics and their action. This is set 1, which goes as follows. That is, yeah. This is ow. But learners tend to pronounce it as oh, oh.
Today, we are going to blend some words with the letter sound S.
Good. Good.
Okay, learning Jolly Phonics. Do you like? I have 2 children. My children know Jolly Phonics as well. Is Jolly Phonics helping you learn to read?
Yes.
Do you like it?
Yes.
Do you learn the Jolly Phonics songs?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you sing it for her?
Bring your bob.
Bring your bata, bring your ball, come to the park to play.
That's a good one for Bert, isn't it? So you're about to go A for Antwerp. If you know the anthem,
I'm sure those of you who were teachers that have gone to Lesotho with our program are having flashbacks now of doing the but what a wonderful moment that was last week when the High Commissioner was visiting one of the schools that we work with very closely, and not only talking about St. David's Day and celebrating the link between the two countries, but being able to talk about Jolly Phonics is fantastic. Now, we've managed to employ another member of staff in Lesotho, the amazing Cozy. Now, he's not with us this evening, but he was involved right from the beginning of our COVID response work, where he made radio shows. So a part of the first video that we showed you with the wellbeing work, we managed to do 42 radio shows that were aired in the winter holidays. And so now Ntate is famous, and when he goes to schools with his other work, lots of them are shouting at him, "Teacher Cozy, Teacher Cozy." So he's done amazing work with us, and I've just asked a very short audio clip from him to tell us about his most recent venture.
Dumelang bomme le bontate. I am Khosi, known as Teacher Khosi. I am the literacy officer at Dolen, Cymru, Wales, Lesotho link. It is really interesting to work with the organization that its main objective is to bring positive growth and development in our country, Lesotho. We all know that literacy is a very big issue. So Dolen has introduced Jolly Phonics to schools in Lesotho, which really has improved literacy in those schools. Its aim is to reach to the schools, to all schools in Lesotho. So far, each district has one or more teachers in our literacy programs. We are in a process of adding more teachers to be Jolly Phonics trainers. Let me tell you the most interesting thing. My colleague and I had an opportunity to take a trip to Namibia to join the trainers there to train teachers in Namibia. So they roll out Jolly Phonics in all the schools. The trainings there were of the highest quality. Rory Realebo, I found the trainings very fascinating and insightful. And I have definitely received some tools that I will implement in my country. Before the training, I didn't have the confidence that I have now. Realebo Dolen.
Another trailblazer. We're working with lots of innovative people here that are not afraid to get out of their comfort zone. And you know, this is amazing work. And we are in talks with the government to try and get a rollout in Lesotho. It's slowly getting there. We're very optimistic, and we hope that when we have our annual celebration next year, we'll be telling you all about it. I'm just going to make sure everyone's muted. Okay, next slide, please, Veronica. And this is just an example of one of our trainers who has developed her confidence, and again, innovative resources. Okay. Connecting classrooms, you can see the plethora of images here. You know, we have had so much engagement with global learning during lockdown, and as we open back up, it has been phenomenal. And It is thanks to the British Council Connecting Classrooms programme. We work alongside that, and we help the partnerships here in Wales, and there's been over 50, still is over 50. There's no funding at the moment, so we're working on ways in which we can support that work. But during the project, we were able to train teachers with British Council South Africa. We were facilitating and helping training together, where we had Welsh teachers and Basotho teachers with the WCIA, the Welsh Centre for International Affairs. We've set up Zooms between pupil groups. We have run a webinar centred around Earth Day, and we've supported the project in Lesotho, particularly with getting resources to the schools, namely lots of materials for school gardens and tree planting as part of COP26. So we finished last term amazingly, and there is a beautiful video on our YouTube about the tree planting initiative as well. We have done, well, I have done some action research alongside my work with Dolen, with a very well-established partnership. Because we're out of time, I think we will leave this video, but we will share the link. And this is an amazing snapshot of the work that's been done between Glanamore School in Buryport and their partner in Kuting Moyeni. And the girls have produced a beautiful film here that summarises the project, but also mentions a little bit about my action research. Now, there will be more information to share about that at a later date, because it's still in the final tweak stages. But what we have is a ratified Institute of Education, University of London paper that we have written based on impact. So I've looked into the impact of these partnerships on 4 schools and the impact of global learning. And surprise, surprise, the biggest things that are coming out are the country twinning, and the friendship is the key element to this work. And the global learning that happens is really sustainable in partnerships that go from primary to secondary school, where you've got that transition of learners learning about the same country and partnership and global issues, but getting increasingly more complex and in more depth. And what all those learners are doing are taking part in action for the Sustainable Development Goals. As we mentioned earlier, also, our Walk the Global Walk project has really given us a good model of ways in which we can engage with schools. So we'll share this link to this newest Padlet, which is about new partnerships, but also advice on other partnerships on how to keep their work going when there's no funding. But there's also links to 3 amazing resources that Mandy has made on SDG 4 quality education, SDG 6 clean water and sanitation, and SDGs 13 climate action. So please take a look, and you will see some amazing materials there for students to use, and all in both countries. We have done them with a Welsh curriculum, new curriculum focus, but a lot of the materials and activities can be used in both countries. So another thank you and applause for Mandy there, because they are amazing. So Mashweshwe's Day tomorrow, just quickly before I hand back to V. So any teachers here, please, please, please share your Mashweshwe Day celebrations in your schools. If you go onto this Padlet, you will see amazing reactions last week to St. David's Day in Lesotho, where so many schools had full celebrations. So we hope to see the same tomorrow, and we'll share the outcomes on social media. Thank you.
So yes, sorry, we are behind. We tried to see what we could cut out, and we did cut things out, but we're still full of excitement. So we keep talking about everything. I'm really proud of the way that the team has adapted to life online. I know some people are fed up with it, but actually it's been a little bit of a surprise that actually COVID has made us work in a way that we hadn't really grabbed before, and because we had to, we did. And now there are things that we will always do online. Obviously we want to see people face to face as well, but it has been an absolute game changer. But you have to give credit to teachers and health workers and everybody we talk to, the lawyers in both countries, of how they've really grabbed this and gone with it, and you can see what a difference it's made. And we carry on. Sharon's already said we've got another big grant from Wales and Africa to continue with resilience building and transition work with learners, and working in partnership with Marija Hub and a new organisation called Heal Our Land organisation, which work with young people, some of them disaffected. And the LTPP isn't really the LTPP anymore, but we're just waiting for confirmation that it is going ahead, which it's supposed to start on the 1st of April. So it is a bit late for Welsh Government to tell us, but we're hopeful and that we'll be able to get some Basotho teachers coming back here then as well in the future. There's the replacement for Erasmus, Tithe, is another opportunity for us there with exchanges between schools in the two countries and higher education establishments as well. And something else that some of you might remember, the ILO, the International Learning Opportunities Programme, is looking to start up again, and they're looking for placements in Lesotho, which we would manage. And of course, we work in partnership with Betsy Kuting Health Partnership here as well. And they've got a big grant from Wales and Africa as well, the same round that we got ours. And they're going to be working to identify people within the communities with mental distress by working with community leaders and village health workers, as well as some people who are not mental health specialists within the health sector. So that's going to be really exciting. So not only that, we've got lots of ideas to do other things. We want to do some podcasts. I don't know if you've listened to the Listening Project on Radio 4 when you get two people talking together. So we're really thinking of doing this with students from Wales and Lesotho, just one-on-one, but obviously there's a lot that goes in with that, and loads of other ideas. But unless we get a grant, you can't do them unless we get funds from the likes of you. And we're so grateful for everything that you have done so far, because you have been so generous, and particularly for that PPE appeal last year, the beginning of last year, on the back of the family medicine programme, where you raised over £10,000 in a matter of a couple of weeks. It was phenomenal. And this is some of the equipment that was distributed as a result of that appeal. And thanks to people who run the marathon, I have to say, we have only got 3 places for this year. 2 of them are filled already, but we still have 1 left. So we will be advertising that very soon to see if we can get our last person to fill that space. So if you know anyone or you are that person, then please let us know. You can help in other much less energetic ways, and even without it costing you a penny, you can go on our website, and if you go on to get involved, then one of the sections is support Dolen without it costing you a penny. And a couple of the things that are there: pledge your birthday, and you can click on set up a fundraiser now. If you're on Facebook, it will just take you there. It will set it all up ready for Dolen. So all you've got to do is make it go. As simple as that. Give as you live is another way. You can go online and buy things from all those places: John Lewis, Marks and Spencer's, Curry's, and then we get a cut of that. Amazon Smile, I know some people don't like Amazon, but we've just had £43 just for this last month come into our coffers due to people signing up to that for us. And PayPal Giving Fund, you can make us your favorite charity on there as well. So that's just a few ideas. There's loads of other ideas on the website, so all you've got to do is go and have a look. And really that's it from me. Paul, I don't know if you want to say anything now at this point. I know we're over time, so I'm going quick.
Okay, diolch yn fawr, and thank you everybody. I can see a lot of people made some comments. I don't know whether anybody's got something urgent they'd like to say, a comment they'd like to say, or a question they'd like to ask before we close. Veronica, can you see any sign of that?
I can't, because it's difficult for me to see with my sharing my screen. I don't think anyone is. Don't think anyone's got their hand up. Just unmute yourself if you want to say something and shout.
Can I ask if anyone knows if there are students in Ukraine from Lesotho?
I don't know. I don't think so. I haven't heard of them going there. And we haven't heard anything about anyone being, stuck there or stranded. But we can try and find out, Di. Thanks very much.
Because I know a Lesotho student who studied in Kyiv in the past.
Yeah.
So that's why I was concerned. Thank you.
My husband has just been on a parliamentary delegation to Lesotho. He's just left last night, and they were with all the government ministers as well and the High Commissioner, and nobody mentioned that. I think they might have done, because they were definitely talking about Ukraine while they were there. Okay.
Okay, well, thank you very much. I think just as a quick sort of roundup, I think never has global solidarity and global partnership and global responsibility been so important as it is today for many, many reasons, of which you'd all be very well aware. But I think I'm certainly very proud, and I've been very struck by how far Dolen is flying the flag for global solidarity and global partnership and global citizenship. The world of international aid is changing. Even the idea of should we be talking about aid, should we be talking about development is changing. I think the work that all you guys have been doing has been, truly inspirational and an example to many of us, and I think we can all be very proud of being associated with the organisation. I hope those of you who are still with us, and thank you for staying with us, that you will have felt inspired by the amazing people that we've heard from today. I know the trustees. I think what we've seen tonight is a very fitting tribute to the vision of Karl Klaus. So I hope he may be looking on and seeing all this amazing work that's been going on. The trustees are certainly very impressed with the huge amount of engagement and enthusiasm from the young people that we've seen. And we know that's in no small part to the leaders in both countries who are driving that enthusiasm in young people in Wales and Lesotho, and their mutual understanding of each other, and the huge similarities that there are between all people living on the world, which is really so important in terms of world peace and people having the opportunity to maximize what they're able to do. I think we're very impressed with how Dolen has adapted to the changing world. We've seen so much use of technology and remote working and remote connections tonight, and that's very much how we're working at the moment and will work in the future. Although friendship is a huge, huge part, and we know that friendships are made face-to-face as well as over screens. So there will be some sort of face-to-face work in the future, we hope. It's fantastic to see so much of the work that's been delivered and led and influenced and determined by our partners, and that again very much reflects the modern view of working together and responding to needs and doing things much more in a cooperative and collaborative way. I think it's been particularly exciting to see the work of the Rugby Academy giving young people the life skills for the future. And it's great that Dolen is leading the way and beginning to work on the gender inequality, in particular the gender violence work. Really impressive. So thank you very much to the team in Lesotho, the team in Wales. You're doing an absolutely fantastic job. You're absolutely inspiring. Thank you all to the many volunteers, and I've seen far more volunteers than I even knew we had. And thank you too for the supporters for sticking with us. Yeah, we do need your support for the future. We look very much for you to help us with fundraising in whatever way you're able to. Caleb, for being with us tonight, for all the work you do, and hopefully we will see you soon. We're keen to run these sort of events twice a year as a way of keeping in contact with you. And who knows, maybe the next one will be face to face. Thank you. Josh and Bob.
Yeah. I'm just going to play David's Day video that you had a clip of in the waiting room. You don't have to stay and watch it. If you want to watch it, you can. It's well done to Polly. Thank you very much. And so I'll just leave it running, and it's up to you if you want to watch it or not.
There's 23 people still.
Thanks, everybody. Bye. Take care. See you next time.
Bye. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.